Item number 14 is
The
approve
domain will
resolution
include
authorizing
approximately
execution of
670,000 square feet of
annual
destination
compensation
lifestyle shopping.
is in the neighborhood of
I can
$35,000
invest
per
$20
year.
million and get back a net of $40 million.
Therefore, it's critical the city support this investment in a very short amount of
There hadn't
time.
been hardly any public discussion, and I'm not sure how they'll feel when they do
All
find
those in
out.
favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye. Aye.
In May 2003, a well-connected developer, Endeavor Real Estate, appeared before the Austin City Council to request a $37 million tax subsidy to build a luxury shopping mall in North Austin called The Domain. After only 1 week and with little public scrutiny, the council approved the request by a vote of 6-1. Since that time, close inspection of the deal has revealed that many of the project's purported benefits to the city were exaggerated, and that the true cost to the taxpayers will be much higher, approximately $64 million.
I'm here today to speak to you about the urban village at the Domain, to explain why that it is important that a decision to make a public investment in this project be made imminently.
It's done in a week's time to avoid public scrutiny, and that's exactly the opposite of what would be in the public interest.
The only reason for the rush that was made known to the public was that there was a convention in Las Vegas where all the mall developers and the prospective tenants get together, and they wanted to be able to go and say, we've got a deal, we're going to get bags of money, we're going to build, and we can sign up tenants.
If the developer is willing to make a deal with the public to take the public's money and to do something of public value, then the developer has got to open its books out and let the public take a good hard look at what kind of deal it's getting and how much it's going to get for what it is it's spending.
Endeavor Real Estate, knowing the city's budget shortfalls of 2003, used a combination of scare tactics and misleading claims to convince city leaders to accept the subsidies package.
During the past 12 months, this community has experienced 8 months of double-digit declines in sales tax receipts.
The city is a declining percentage of the metropolitan area population. People are doing their shopping close to home, which is exactly what you'd expect, but we're getting a little bit more than our share, and it's keeping pace exactly with population. So there's no reason for panic at all. It's declining because our percentage of the population is declining.
Endeavor told the city that it would begin to see tax revenue and other benefits from the project beginning in the year 2005.
Well, that was an impossible projection because you couldn't find the tenants, negotiate leases, design the mall, submit it to the city, and construct the mall, and then do the tenant finish, and then move in the retailers within 18 months.
In talks with city and county officials, Endeavor also claimed that they would provide 4 acres of open space at the Domain, that the retail jobs they would create there would average $35,000 per year, and that the project was not viable without the city's investment.
A primary question that one asks in this situation is, will it be built without the city's participation? The answer in this case is no.
But the project cost was $130 million, the valuation was $158 million, so they're already $28 million in the black.
There's every probability that a major retail development would have occurred without any incentive. So when the city says we gave an incentive and we got this many jobs and we got this much new sales tax revenue, that's assuming that there would be no activity without the incentive, and there would have been activity without the incentive.
The most blatant misrepresentation had to do with how much money the city would be obligated to pay to the developer. Endeavor's sales estimates for their luxury mall, when measured per square foot, were less than at a Walmart or a Home Depot. This dishonest projection led the city to believe that they would be required to rebate only $37 million in tax dollars, when the actual number, based on more realistic, higher sales figures, will be closer to $64 million.
The city needs to do its due diligence and actually more or less duplicate the analysis that's provided to it by the developer or by the company. If they're unable to duplicate those numbers, then they certainly shouldn't be taking the information they're getting from the developer at face value. That just doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make sense to spend taxpayer money to subsidize development that is already occurring rampantly in Austin, and also be subsidizing the competition to our, existing homegrown businesses.
My biggest argument with the Domain is not that the city didn't do what was good for the public, but it did not even do what was good for the city from a fiscal point of view. It completely misread the economics of the situation and made a deal which it thought was going to be good for the city, when in fact they were shooting themselves in the foot.
But the city is no longer obligated to pay any money to the domain. In response to a lawsuit, Endeavor agreed to a court-approved settlement that makes these payments optional. And there is now a charter amendment on the ballot this November that will stop the domain subsidy once and for all and will limit the city's ability to approve tax giveaways for retail in the future.
I support the Stop Domain Subsidies Charter because I think it was an unfair deal to begin with. It wasn't done with any sort of public knowledge.
And the people of Austin deserve an opportunity to say that it's good for the city in their opinion or it's not, because we never had that opportunity. So I think the charter is one of the best things that could happen, and I'm excited about it.
This November, vote for Proposition 2.